Touch Delay everyone and welcome to class 11 biology. So today we shall learn from chapter 5 morphology of flowering plants. In the earlier classes we talked about biological classification where all the organisms are classified into 5 kingdoms according to Whittaker's classification. And then again, we discuss about plant kingdom and its classification. And in the plant kingdom classification, we came across a division that is angiosperm. So angiosperms are those, the angiosperms include those plants which produce flowers. So these are the flowering plants. So in this chapter, we are talking about angiosperm. And then we talk about we'll talk about the morphology of flowering plants. So morphology of flowering plants means that is the study of external structure. So we'll be focusing only on the morphology of flowering plants. So in this chapter, there are certain topics, that is the root, the stem, the leaf, the inflorescence, the flower, the seed, and the semi-technical description of a typical flowering plants. So these are the topics included in this chapter. So in the first session of this chapter, let us learn the first 3 topics. That is the root, the stem, and the leaf. So when we talk about the morphology of flowering plants, at the outset we can see that the plant has a root system and a shoot system. The root system are those part of the plant usually underground. They're usually underground. And the shoot system are aerial, that is above the ground. And talking about this again, the root system, as you see, it has the root which is a primary, and we know that when we talk about the flowering plants, they produce flower which in turn will produce seed. And seed contains embryo, and embryo develops into a plant. So in the embryo, there are parts like radicles and plumule. Radicle develops into root system and plumule develops into shoot system. So here the root system develops from the radicle here. So the first root here you can find it is primary root, and this primary root branch to form secondary root, tertiary root, and so on. So this root system is underground. Now the shoot system consists of the stem, the branches, the buds, the leaves, flowers, and fruits. So this are the shoot system which is aerial, or we can say above the ground. Now let us discuss about each part in detail. The first is the root. As discussed, the root are the underground structure. And these root are of 3 types. They're classified into 3 types. The first one is taproot system. And the taproot system is found in dicotyledonous plant. Dicotyledon plant. Dicot means the plant having 2 cotyledon in their seed. In this case, the primary root is persistent, and strong here. It is the main root you can find here, and these are the secondary root. So the primary root is main here, it is persistent, and such a type of root is called taproot system. And the other type is fibrous root system, usually found in monocotyledon plant, that is grasses. Here the primary root is short-lived. It is short-lived, and when it disappears, the plant will have a bunches of root growing from the stem here, and this includes the fibrous root system. Now the third type of root is the root which develops from a part other than radicle. And such a type of root are called as adventitious root. Here example, the plant is that of a maize, and you find that these are the roots here which develops from the node. These are the node region of a stem. From the stem, there is a formation of root, that is adventitious root. Now talking about the functions of root system. The functions of root system are, the first and foremost thing is absorption of water and mineral. Okay, so the absorption of water and mineral from the surrounding is done by the root system of the plant. And they also provide anchorage to the plant parts. So these are the two main functions of the root system. And other functions are they help in storage of reserve food material and also in the synthesis of plant growth hormones. Now let's look at the region of the root. The region of the root are, okay, at the tip, that is at the bottom, you find a thimble shape called as root cap. And this root cap provides protection to the root tissues as it penetrates down into the soil. Okay, so above this you find a number of small cells which are actively dividing cells. Okay, and this includes the region of this, okay, cells, we call it as region of meristematic activity. They are actively dividing cells, and the cells are small in size, and the cell wall is thin, and let's say the protoplasm is very dense. As they increase in number, okay, some of them will undergo elongation. They increases their length, and also the cell wall starts to thicken, and protoplasm is become less denser. Okay, and they elongate. So this region forms a region of elongation, and these are the region which is responsible for the increase in the length of root system. Okay, and as they elongate again from the proximal part, they again undergo maturation. They start to deposit more on the cell wall. They become thickened and they become mature. This region forms region of maturation. The cells will develop an outgrowth called as root hair, and this root hair increases the surface area so that the plant can absorb more moisture, more water, and more nutrient from the surrounding. Now, these roots are modified for various purposes. The first and foremost is modification of root for the storage of the reserve food. Okay, so this is seen especially in the taproot system. So the roots are modified so that they can store the reserve food. Okay, so the examples are asparagus, turnip, carrot, and sweet potato. These are all the primary root here. Okay, and then the roots are also modified for the function of respiration. So there are certain plants which grows in the marshy area like Rhizophora, and these plants, they produce a root, of course, which grow downward. They also produce a root which grows upward, that is, they are negatively geotrophic. As you can see in the picture, okay, this outgrowth, you can find these are all the roots, and we call them as nematophore, and the function of this root is for the respiration purpose. Okay, so these nematophore are negatively geotrophic. Usually the roots are positively geotrophic. They grow underground. They grow towards the ground. But in this case, nematophore, they grow away from the ground. Okay, so that is negatively geotrophic. And there are roots which develops from plant other than from the radicals, and these are called as adventitious root. So the adventitious root, there are two types we have as shown. The first one is prop root. The example of the plant shown here is a banyan tree. And this banyan tree, the root develops from the stem here, stem and branches. From the branches you can find, okay, so there are nodes. From the nodes, the root develops and it grows downwards to provide an extra support for the huge plant. And such a type of root is called prop root. And then there is another type of root called as tilt root, which also develops from the node of the stem. Okay, node of the stem, it grows downward and provide them a extra support for the plant. That is tilt root. Tilt root is found in maize and sugarcane too. Next is the stem. The stems grow above the ground. They are usually green and soft when they are young, but when they become older, they become thickened, woody, and brown. Okay, and the important feature, the important characteristic feature or the distinguishing feature found in the stem, okay, which is not in the root, is the presence of node. The nodes are present only in the stem, not in root. Okay, so again here this stem, it may terminate into a bud, okay, terminal bud. Okay, this is the growing point. And at the node, there is the development of leaf. Okay, so leaf develops only from the node, and in the axil of the leaf and the stem there is axillary bud. This axillary bud may develop into shoot system, that is, it will develop into branches, or it might develop into a flower bud, okay, to produce flower. Then again you find that there are various nodes, one here, another here, and here. Okay, the region between two successive nodes, the region between these two nodes, we call it as internode. Again here you find internode. Then talking about the functions of the stem, it bears leaf, flower, and fruit. It also conducts water and minerals, and also the photosynthase. Photosynthase are nothing but these are the product of photosynthesis, for example sucrose. The other functions are, it helps in storage of food, it helps in supporting the plant body, it also provides protection. They are modified to protect the plant and also act as vegetative propagules. So let us look at some of the modification of this stem to meet the function. First one is for storage. As you can see in the picture, you find that these are the bulgy part of the stem which are modified for the storage of food. As discussed, the stems are aerial part, but here in the case of these examples like ginger and potato, these are underground. The stem can also be underground. Okay, for example like this, and these are bulgy and they store food, reserve food. And to support the plant body, the stem are modified into tendrils. Okay, when the stem is weak, it is not woody, then they support the other stronger or sturdy plant. Okay, and they get support through the tendril. Okay, so these are formed also by modification of stem. And this again here, for the protection, the stem, the axillary bud here, the stem is modified into spine, and which in turn will help them against the browsers. Again here you see that the stem is also helps in propagation. For example here, this is a stem here which grows horizontally here, and at the point of node there is a development of root system, and then the shoot arises, and each one, when you cut it separately, they grow into an individual plant, thus forming many plants. Another example you find is that of runners and stolons. Okay, so runners and stolons, again here the stem grows horizontally, and in the case of runners it is touching the ground, and stolon are above the ground. Here the stem here, it bent downward, and at the point of node, at the region of node, there is a development of root and the shoot, and if you cut it or it get fragments, it grows into an individual plant. So these stems are modified also for the vegetative propagation. Now the third topic is the leaf. Again we discussed the leaf are the part which are born on the stem, that is, it becomes a aerial part, and the leaves are the lateral flattened structure which is present on the stem, and they usually grows at node. They grow at the node. Wherever there is node, there is a formation of the growth of a leaf. And in the leaf you can find there is a flat structure. We call it as leaf lamina, and then it has a margin here, leaf margin, and then there is the midrib here, and then veins. All these contain xylem and phloem for the conduction of water and minerals here. And then this leaf is attached to the stem at the node by a petiole. These petioles attach the leaf to the stem here. And again at the point of the formation of a leaf, there are small blade-like appendage, leaf-like appendage called as stipules. So in this leaf, it's a broad flattened structure, having this lamina, midrib, and the veins. midribs and the veins, okay, provide or facilitate the transport of water and minerals and photosynthesis because they contain xylem and phloem. In some types of plant, in some group of plant like leguminous plant, the base of the petiole is swollen, and such a type we call it as pulvinous. Here you can see it is swollen, it is pulvinous. So as you see, the leaf are present on the stem at node. So in the axil of a leaf you find axillary bud. Now talking about the leaf venation, that is the arrangement of the veins. Okay, so the arrangement of the veins, the venation, it can be parallel venation or reticulate venation. In the parallel venation, all the veins are parallel to the axis of the leaf here. They are parallel. Okay, they run parallel. So parallel venation, and this is an important distinctive feature of monocotyledon plant. All the monocotyledon plant have parallel venation. Now reticulate venation. So this reticulate venation, the veins are in a network-like structure. Okay, so they are network. You can find here like a web here. Okay, reticulate venation. So reticulate venation is a distinguishing feature found in dicotyledon plant. Now types of leaves. Okay, so we know that the leaves are borne on the stem at the node, and in between them there is an axillary bud here. Now if the margin of the leaf here, this is the margin of a leaf and this is a midrib. If the margin of the leaf do not touch, or you can say do not incise and touch the midrib, then such a type of leaf is called cymbal leaf. This is cymbal leaf here. The margin do not touch the midrib here. And the other type of leaf, for example here, this is a single leaf here. This is a single leaf here, and let us say it is borne on the stem over here. So here, this is a midrib, and the leaf here, the margin of the leaf incise into the blade, and it touches the midrib, thus forming a number of leaflets here. And such a type of leaf is called compound leaf. So in the compound leaf, you find so many leaflets, and the axil of this is a midrib, and the midrib here is called as rachis. So you do not find any axillary bud here. You do not find any axillary bud here. So if you don't find any axillary bud here, it is a compound leaf, and these are the leaflets. And actually, it is considered to be a this completely part is a single leaf. Okay, you do not find axillary bud in between the leaflet, but you will find axillary bud at the stem when you consider this whole as a one. Okay, so cymbal leaf and compound leaf. Cymbal leaf, okay, so the excision, or you can say incision, you can say it will not touch the midrib. Here it touches the midrib, forming a number of leaflets here, and in between the leaflets you do not find any axillary bud. Is it clear? So type of leaves are cymbal leaf and compound leaf. So compound leaf here are shown. There are three compound leaves shown here. So this is compound, this is compound, this is compound. In the compound leaf you find number of leaflets. So you know how to identify or how to distinguish cymbal leaf and compound leaf. Okay, so you're just going to look at the presence of axillary bud. If there is axillary bud here in between them, then each leaf is a cymbal leaf. But since here there is no axillary bud, this whole is a complete leaf, or you can say the whole is a compound leaf here. So this compound leaf, it can be pinnately compound leaf or double compound leaf like this, or it can be palmately compound leaf. So the palmately compound leaf, the leaflet are borne at a same point here, at a single point here. But in the case of pinnately compound leaf, they are borne on the midrib. We call it as rachis. Okay, so opposite to it, you can find rachis. Now phyllotaxy. So phyllotaxy is nothing but it is the arrangement of leaf on the stem or branch. Phyllotaxy is the arrangement of leaf on the stem or branch. So it can be alternate like this. You have a node, at each node you have a leaf. It is alternate, or it can be opposite, that is At both the side of a node, you find leaf that is opposite, or it can be whorl. So here, in the case of whorl, you find more than 2 leaves at a node. So you can find many leaflets here, so leaves here. So this is a whorl. Okay, so phyllotaxy. Now the leaves, as you know that leaves are the flattened structure which are green in color. Okay, and it can be other colors too, but they have chlorophyll pigment for the purpose of photosynthesis. The main purpose of leaf is to do photosynthesis, prepare a food for the whole plant. But again, these are modified for various purpose, various functions. So modification of leaf, the first one you can find is a storage, as in the case of onion. You can see that the leaf are fleshy here. Okay, so this helps in the storage of the reserve food here. And it also helps, it is also modified for the support here. As you can see, this is a compound leaf here. This whole is a single leaf, considered as a single leaf, and each one is a leaflet here. And this is a rachis. Here you can see that a part of rachis, the terminal part, is modified into tendrils so that it can get support, or it can get support from the other plant. Okay. So this is for support tendrils. These are the modified here, modified leaf here. These are the modified leaf here. Tendrils can be modified leaf, or it can also be modified stem. The modified stem we have already discussed in the previous topic. Okay, so next is for protection again. Here in the case of cactus, you find that the leaves, okay, are modified into spines. And these spines give a protection to the plant against the herbivores or the browsers. And sometimes here you can find in the case of bryophyllum, the leaf, the margin of the leaf also produce a leaf bud, and which in turn can grow into an individual plant. Okay, thus helping in propagation of the plant. And in some of the insectivorous plants, so insectivorous plants are also photosynthetic plants. They are autotrophs, but since they grow in an area where there is nitrogen deficient, in order to get that extra nutrient, they go for an insectivorous mode of feeding. Okay, so they trap the insects to get the extra nutrient, but they also do photosynthesis. Okay, so again here in this plant, it is the leaves which are modified to form various structures so as to trap the insects. So here this is a pitcher plant here, and this pitcher plant body, it is a modified leaf. Likewise here, Venus flytrap, this is also a modified leaf. Okay, so that's all for the first session of this chapter. So the remaining part we will cover in the next session. Thank you.